Hello my dear friends. I've recently released another new Skarloey Railway story, and now we're going to have a look at how it was made. Duncan the Mentor is part 3 of Clever Little Engine, but it originally started out very different. The first story is focused on the older engines, Skarloey, Rheneas and Duke. The second story featured Zahandle and Peter Sam. Now it became time to see more from Rusty and Duncan. I knew that this one should be a glimpse at how Duncan gets on with Ivo Hugh, but thankfully I found that someone had already covered this idea really well. Kayak, or Butterfly Coffee, wrote a story for the 75th anniversary of the Railway series, where the two begrudgingly worked together, and kindly let me adapt it. I had to expand upon it to make it fit within the episodes that came before and after, so it no longer took place right after Ivo's naming ceremony as it originally did. Rusty and Duncan's friendship was never really seen after rock and roll, so I wrote an opening where they talk level with each other, and Rusty tries to put Duncan's temper back in its place, something he is aware of. Ivo, meanwhile, struggles to comprehend why Duncan is like that. Throughout this whole mini-series, I've attempted to write Ivo as being on the autism spectrum. I'm not diagnosed myself, so I did try to achieve this delicately, but some of you have commented on the signs, so I hope it has been done respectfully. I felt that representing him this way would be far better than having him just be another pompous, new and naive engine, especially as these stories are about how he wants to fit in with the other engines who are all so well known. So far, we've seen him struggle to understand why some things are the way they are. He asks lots of questions, confides heavily with his crew, and in editing, I've made him struggle to maintain eye contact. He can have fixations on one thing, and in this episode, of course, it's him that is thinking the problem through, whilst Duncan sulks in the corner. Filming was straightforward in that the Andrew Barclay duo was the only train. The main issue was how fiddly it was running a long goods train with such small wagons. Many shots had to be filmed in reverse, as sometimes the engines found it easier to push the stock instead. The other problem was continuity. I'll never be able to unnotice that the train starts at Quarry Junction, then goes over the viaduct into Rheneas Station, before approaching and passing Skarloey Station. Originally they begun at the sheds, but I thought an introduction in a different place would be a nice change, and I forgot to change it in the plan. Speaking of the sets, in each part I've tried to include a set that is almost exclusive to that episode. Paving the Way focused on Crovan's Gate, Tight Schedules introduced Rheneas and Quarry Junction, and Duncan the Mentor takes us all the way up onto the loop line. Since this is shut for repairs, I had to remember that the engines ran in reverse and ran around their trains at Skarloey. I should also mention this rather random scene with a Land Rover at the crossing. I wonder what he's looking for. I guess we'll have to see in the final episode. That was animated in stop motion. I wanted to differ from the constant sunny blue sky that we've been seeing, as this is Ivo in a low point in the story arc. Pathetic fallacy. I've struggled to find new sky backdrops, so wherever possible, this was done in editing. Likewise for the overly yellowy sunset in the last scene. Nathan basically recorded the whole score for this in one day. I think he was overexcited that this was a shorter episode. Unlike the previous ones, there's also no Railway with a Heart of Gold theme anywhere to be heard. A complete 180, so I guess Duncan has no heart. We do have quite a few references though, from Black Man Ray by China Crisis playing on the radio, to Still Dre. Not what you'd expect, but he asked, I approved, and I think it works great for Duncan. There was a lot more silence in this one, especially with the shunting montage. So once again, I'm really grateful that he gave life to the episode musically. Do check out his YouTube and SoundCloud. We will be releasing the complete scores for all of the episodes once the last one is released. There was a much smaller cast for this episode, but Stuart takes centre stage and hits us all with that passive-aggressive Duncan that we all know and love. As always, a good chunk of what you hear was never in the script, but all the extra grumbly sounds really do just make Duncan's persona feel right on the mark. Oh bulls, it looks like we've come to the end. There have been quite a few moments spread across all of the stories that tie together as one plot in the final part. So stay tuned for Ivo's tune, coming soon. Thank you to everyone who contributed towards this episode, especially my channel patrons who get all the bonus stuff like an exclusive blooper reel. Join in the description. And now a moment of silence for the N-Gage Bachmann Percy and the chassis sacrifices that were made for these models. See you next time. Many thanks to my brilliant channel patrons: Alex Goodman, GBH Train, D0280 Falcon, Sean Tempest, Random Thomas Fan, Dark White 73, Andrew Dyack, Reese Lee Walter, Ryan RTS, Ewan Pentland, Steam Power 4472, and Firewind 10.